Hello, welcome parents, welcome families to our virtual family weekend, another first in 2020. We never thought we would be doing this as a way of meeting parents and families and kind of giving a glimpse of our classes, but we're doing what we can do to give you guys an idea of how we're handling things here. So as you can see, I'm in a different room this year. I'm in the library. That's due to kind of numbers issues. My classes are a little bit bigger, so I was moved over here to a bigger classroom so we can try to still remain socially distant. Just a little bit about myself. A lot of you probably know me, and maybe none of this is a shock, but for those of you that don't know me, I grew up in Mercersburg, which is just north of Hagerstown, obviously. And no, I did not go to Mercersburg Academy. I get that question a lot, but I did coach there briefly. I coached soccer and tennis there, girls soccer and boys tennis, as an assistant for both teams in the 2014-2015 seasons. In between that, I was a teacher at Morristown Baird School in New Jersey. Being at Mercersburg made me realize that teaching was something I wanted to pursue. I didn't really know what I wanted to do coming out of college, but I found that idea and that passion while I was coaching, that being with students and that community feel is something that I wanted. So I started looking for that. Ended up getting a interim position, filling in for a maternity leave teacher. Taught there for about 4 months. Came back here. Got my had my interview. I think the week I got back from New Jersey. Found out the next day that I was being offered the position. So I jumped on that, and now I'm starting my 6th year here. So that's kind of just my journey, how I found this place, and how I ended up teaching here. And obviously I've enjoyed it, considering this is my 6th year. The community aspects of it are exactly what I was looking for in a school. So I'm happy that I found this place, and it's been a good journey to be on. So with that said, go ahead and share my screen just like I would in a typical class, so that students at home can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'll share this, and we'll share the entire screen because I'm going to jump around a little bit here. So I think now I'm in the bottom corner. So this is kind of what students see. They'll see me just as a smaller picture, but at least they can still see me a little bit while I'm teaching. So I'm sharing with you the syllabus. I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker. I went over my time limit in my first recording. So just a few things to note here. This class takes the place of Calculus 1 in college, the first semester of calculus, college calculus, assuming that we pass the AP exam. So passing score in the AP exam is a 3, 4, or 5. Almost every school will take a 4 or a 5. Some schools will take a 3, but that kind of depends on where you're applying. Classroom expectations, just in general, don't be late, bring your materials with you, help make the atmosphere be one of learning and not one where people feel judged if they get something wrong. So an uplifting kind of feel to the class. Things that we need: a calculator, pencils, a binder, and then what I ask students to purchase instead of a textbook is a review book. So we'll use that more frequently as we get closer to the AP exam during our time of review. So there's a link to that there. Students should have purchased that or be purchasing that if they have not already. A quick update on grading policies. So tests are 50%, quizzes are 30%, homework is 10%, and graded problem sets are 10%. Within the test, there will also be projects. So tests and projects technically would be 50%. That's something new that we're trying with COVID. Trying to throw some more real world applications in there, some different ways of assessing instead of just a standard test, given that some people are taking it at home and some people are taking it here. We haven't gotten into a project yet, but we're getting into material now that does lend itself to more project-based things. Our initial material didn't really have a lot of real world applications, but we're getting into derivatives now, which really do. So tests being 50%, I know that seems like a big chunk of their grade, but I want the tests to really let a student know where they stand, right? So if you are getting a B or an A on tests, then your grade should really reflect that, and you should know, like, okay, I am understanding the stuff, I am getting it. But if you're not doing as well on tests, then your grade should reflect that, so that you don't have this false sense of where you are in the course. So that's kind of my philosophy there and why I do that. I've had students in the past, before I made tests 50%, where their grade was fluffed up too much by homework or by quizzes or other things. And so they were having this false sense of security before they got to the AP exam of how much they knew. I want students to have a real kind of in that moment glimpse of, okay, like, how am I doing? Do I really know this stuff, or do I need to put in some more work before the exam? So with that being said, because tests are 50%, I do offer corrections, but I only offer corrections, again, for students that really struggle. So something lower than a 75%, because again, I don't want the grade to be artificially inflated. But I also don't want students that got a 50% and really struggled to be locked in on that 50% and have that really negatively affect their grade. So I offer these corrections to get back to a 75%. So if you got a 50%, you can get half your points back exactly, would bring you to a 75. If you got a 60%, then you could technically get 20 points back, but we would cap that at 15 because you're capped at 75. But with those corrections, I do ask that students be more thorough. They identify their mistake, rework the entire problem, then explain why the new solution is correct, because that's helping me see that they're truly learning from the experience and not just saying, hey, what did you guys get for number 5? And then writing down the new answer and moving on. We want to learn from these because this is a cumulative class. What we learn now is going to show up later. So we need to make sure that we're learning from our mistakes, not just artificially fixing them and moving on. So I have a couple minutes left. So a few things. Blackboard is where students should check for homework, quizzes, tests, everything that is coming up, they'll see it there. It's important that I put it there because that's the easiest thing for them to check. And that's their tool for knowing when things are due. I also have something called Class Notebook, where I'll show you here in a second. Extra help, B and C blocks, I'm free. So if we share a free period, those are great times. The other thing that we've discovered in this new schedule is that we have A lunch and we have B lunch. A lunch, so B lunch is the older students, A lunch is the younger students. I teach older students, I eat with older students, so we're all going to B lunch, which means A lunch is wide open for students to come in for extra help or set up a virtual meeting. So I've been doing that a lot. A lot of students have been utilizing that found time, as we like to say. And I have a virtual meeting at 12 today. So students are using that both in class or in person and virtual, and it's a great time in the middle of the day to get that extra help. So now I'm going to jump over to Class Notebook. So I'll show a calculus one here. So real quickly, the Lessons tab. This is where all my lessons are started and recorded. So if we need to go back and look at a lesson, we can, even if you were there. If you want to review something, you can. These Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, that's for breaking up into groups for working on problems in class together. And then the General tab, this is where you'll find the Class Notebook. So the Class Notebook is a way to organize all of my stuff, typically for the online students, though in-class students will also have access to this. So in the class notes section, this is where I post all of the class notes. They can print it out, or if they want to, they can write directly on this. So if you click the draw feature, if you have a touchscreen, then you could come down here and, well, it just disappeared. So I think something went wrong with my internet, but usually there's stuff here and you can draw directly on them. I'm sorry that it's not working for the video, but everything's there. Then the quizzes and tests and problem sets are all turned in within Class Notebook for our virtual students. In-person students will just obviously hand them in on that day. Before I let you go, as again, I'm running out of time, another thing that I've been able to do is share virtually is my calculator. So this is exactly what they see at home. So as I work through stuff, they get to see it as well. And so that's really it. I got to keep this under 10 minutes. So I'm sorry that we didn't get to meet in person this year. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to my email, bheebner@stjames.edu. And I guess take care and everybody stay safe. See ya.